The James Show Podcast.
Top story of the day, the latest in the Guthrie kidnapping situation. I think the general consensus is starting to waft towards looking at brother-in-law as the top suspect, Tommaso Cioni. Let me give you a little bit better recap here on the Guthrie situation. This was from WFAA's morning show.
We turn our attention to the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, with some updates this morning. Overnight, law enforcement releasing a man they detained during a traffic stop as part of that investigation. KNXV in Phoenix spoke to that man last night who said he was a delivery driver who may have delivered something to Guthrie's home at one point, but was not involved in her disappearance.
Terrifying. Something I didn't do for something. I felt like I was being kidnapped, bro. They didn't tell me anything at the beginning.
Also overnight, investigators completing a search of a home in Rio Rico, which is south of Tucson. No sign, though, of Nancy Guthrie yet. This all just hours after the FBI released images and video of an armed, masked man approaching Guthrie's home the night she was abducted. Sources tell ABC News the Guthrie family did not recognize that man.
So someone else pointed out something interesting. This Tommaso, he hasn't been seen in almost 10 days. What? That doesn't mean he did it. That's not a sign of guilt, but it does raise a little bit of suspicion. He was last photographed on February 3rd. That's 2 days after his mother-in-law went missing, and it wasn't a photo that he intended to take or that he was aware of how good I'm having my photo taken. He actually was behind the steering wheel in a car, sunglasses on, trying to cover his face with a jacket. His wife, also in the car with her hood up, she also covered her face. Does that make you suspicious? And so we've learned a little bit from when the James Show started yesterday, and the fact that they did talk to some other dude, and it was just some other delivery driver, but they didn't even take him down to the station. They didn't keep him. He's not being acquitted or arraigned or being held or being bonded out. They just wanted to talk to him. He was just a delivery driver. Because the fact pattern still remains that the last guy that saw her alive looks like it is the son-in-law. And now the top suspect, people are starting to really lean on the son-in-law theory. Now, if it turns out to not be the son-in-law, boy, these people are going to look stupid. But we're just trying to piece it together. And I get the impression the police know a lot more than they're telling us. And that's understandable. There's no advantage into letting us know certain things that could hinder the investigation. If they do let the cat out of the bag, that they're pretty sure it's Tommaso. What a weird name, Tommaso. They don't want him skipping the country. They don't want him running. They don't want him going into hiding. They want to be able to find him whenever they're ready to, put a bow on this thing and wrap it up. But they searched his house twice. You understand that? Twice. And Tommaso didn't have to consent to the search because his wife did. Annie gave the cops permission to go through whatever helps find mom. So that makes me think if he is in on it, if it is him, it looks like she's not in on it. No, please, whatever helps find mom. He's probably back there going, shut up. I mean, if he's guilty, we don't know if he's guilty. We're just doing the speculation thing. But they searched his house February 4th, 3 days after the missing, the kidnapping. And then it was searched again on February 7th. So let's just go ahead and explore the top theory going on right now. Because if it is Tommaso, then we have to kind of be open-minded about it not really being a kidnapping. Maybe he thumped her. Maybe he killed her. Maybe he went and hid the body and made it just look like a kidnapping. Maybe that's him in the video. Maybe he's the mystery man in the ski mask with the gloves and kind of walking funny, and he has his gun on the holster right in front of his junk, which is kind of odd. So we've got to start thinking about that. Is this even a kidnapping? Because one of the big question marks is the blood that happened out front. If you're a kidnapper, how did that happen? Did she resist and fight back and the struggle? She was wounded? See, that didn't seem very likely for an 84-year-old woman. Is this just some son-in-law, some sociopathic son-in-law killing his mother-in-law to get the inheritance or get the money, or maybe he's doing the ransom? I don't know. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. But we are getting a little bit closer every day. I am a little surprised that you and I do not know the identity of the mystery man from the video that was released yesterday, right before the James show. They had released the video from the Nest doorbell camera. And we're all trying to pick up and do our little online sleuthing thing. Well, look, he's got a mustache, and check out the eyebrows, and a lot of weird stuff going on. But we have the sheriff's department in Pima County saying, well, yeah, we're just following up on all our leads. Thanks for all the tips. Appreciate it. I think they know what's going on. I think they know who did it. I think they're putting the finishing touches on the case and kind of wrapping it up. Because once they do arrest him and take him in, they've got 48 hours to actually do something with him. And if they have more than 48 hours worth of work to do, they're going to wait. So that's where I'm at. Where are you at? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. And as I say that, I hope you can hear a little bit of hesitation in my voice. Because, I think it's brother-in-law. But, I'm maybe at 50-50 it's him. Maybe. Betsy Brantner-Smith, National Police Association. Thank you for joining us once again on the James Show. Your law enforcement background is useful here because my first question for you is, I get the impression the police know a whole lot more than they're telling us. In fact, I think they may be closing in on the guy right now. They're just putting the finishing touches on the case. Is that possible or probable?
I would say it's definitely possible, if not probable. But I would say when you say those police, I would say it's with the assistance of the FBI. We have this is my hometown, Tucson, Arizona. I'm here. I was down at the sheriff's department last night, and we've got great federal partners. We've got federal assets here. And right now, what they're doing is walking the highway that leaves Nancy Guthrie's place and goes toward the Catalina Mountains. We've got agents searching both sides of the highway. So they obviously got a tip about that. We had this gentleman that was stopped last night in Rio Rico down near the Mexican border. Lots happening. But yes, I would guess that they're getting close. So
let's talk about the dude that they interviewed yesterday. He was a delivery driver. My impression is that he had door dashed to the house, but he wasn't the last person to see her. Tomaso, the son-in-law, still, I guess, in the storyline that they're giving us, is the last person to see her. Is that still the timeline?
It is. And but here's the thing. Because of all the crazy press conferences by the sheriff in the beginning, the public doesn't really have all the information that law enforcement does about exactly when she was dropped off. How did she get in to the house? And even if we know for sure that there was forced entry into the home, some say yes, some say no, all of that. But this guy last night in Rio Rico, they've got a geofence around this whole situation, electronic, they're pinging all the phones, doing all that stuff. And this guy's a DoorDash driver. So, of course, he's driving all over Tucson, even though he lives, 25 miles to the southeast. And, but they talked to him. And you notice he hasn't been entirely cleared. He just hasn't been arrested. So maybe he knows somebody who knows something. There's a lot of that. And I know you like the brother-in-law theory. I don't hate it. But there's also the theory of this is somebody who knows people who worked for her, the pool guy, the landscaper, cleaning lady, whatever it is. There's also that theory.
Right. So that's still on. But here's the scary part. Once we identify brother-in-law or whoever else it is that took her, I'm still kind of concerned about the length of time that she's been gone, which means the likelihood that she's still alive seems to be going down by the day.
Yes, you're correct about that. We had last night, we had a life flight helicopter that was tracked leaving Rio Rico, which is a tiny town, and going to our university hospital. And people were very hopeful it was Nancy Guthrie. It wasn't. And so, yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks. She's 84 years old. She has significant health problems. I wonder if things went. Think about that. Everybody think about that video of the guy at the front door. If that's the guy you see and you have a pacemaker and a big heart problem, I'm not sure you survive that.
Yeah, that's enough to give you a heart attack.
I'm a lot younger than her, and that would give me a heart attack. So,
well, Betsy, so you said people were reporting on a live flight. We also saw a report yesterday of the SWAT teams being deployed. And so some people were like, well, are they going to go get their guy? And I'm like, I don't know. It could just be some meth head. It could be Jesse Pinkman with a lab in the basement. You don't know. That's a Breaking Bad reference, by the way. Do we know what that SWAT team was scrambling to yesterday?
SWAT team and the bomb squad went out. There's still a lot of crime in Pima County, Arizona. So everybody needs to understand that. This is 1 million people. We had 56 homicides last year. We do have a lot of violent crime here. But they have not told us. The sheriff's department went from having the sheriff talk every couple of hours to just, sending out like a daily tweet. And so we don't 100% know, but the SWAT team did come back. We were down there at the sheriff's department, and they came back, and they're super nice and super friendly. Well, they didn't really tell us where they were going.
Is it really essential for the FBI to be involved in this? Because I kind of hope that local authorities, especially in a place as big as Tucson, could solve a kidnapping case themselves.
No, here's the thing. The FBI has especially electronic assets that local law enforcement really doesn't have. And so this, for example, the video that we now have, that's the FBI who put that together. I don't think that the Pima County Sheriff's Department could have done that. We don't have that kind of technology, and we don't have that relationship with Google. Remember, this took this took Google really to put this together. It's a Nest camera. And so there's that. Plus, we have had some, I love local law enforcement, and I want to cheer on the boys and girls, the locals, but our sheriff, as I think people have seen, is not the most he's not the most competent guy. Let me say that. A lot more is going to come out about him and his background once this whole thing is over. And so he kind of screwed up the investigation in the beginning. And he also has transferred people that should be in lead positions in this investigation. We didn't have a pilot for our Survey 1 aircraft because he got into a fight with the sheriff. The sheriff got into a fight with him, and he got transferred. So we didn't have a tactical pilot. The guy that leads our homicide team allegedly has less than 2 years in that position because everybody is fleeing the sheriff's department. So that's a problem.
Betsy Brantner Smith, what's your online spot for the National Police Association?
SGT Betsy Smith. Follow me on X and go to nationalpolice.org. See what we do and hit that donate button.
All right, you'll have to come back on and we'll talk about the shady sheriff when all this is over with. We've done a lot of explaining on why the son-in-law is the top suspect in the comments under the threads of most of the discussions online. The number 2 theory, I believe, is some sort of connection to the Epstein coincidence. And let me explain why I think it's not the Epstein coincidence, because it's pro, but it's not that pro. There was a planning, but there wasn't that much planning. I mean, the guy thought, there's a doorbell camera. I should do about that. But he didn't do anything about that. He didn't make that decision until after he had already been caught on the doorbell cam. So the guy was planning it out, but he's not a pro. So could this be a crime of opportunity? Some contractor, some landscaper, some guy was just doing yard work, or some guy was, I don't know, fixing some carpentry or detailing a car in the driveway. I don't know. But I'm still leaning toward brother-in-law, leaning away from Epstein. And the one thing I got to give you Epstein theorists is that is a hell of a coincidence. The timing on that is just unbelievably weird. Sandra, Fort Worth, you're on WBAP.
Hi. I'm wishing for Rush Limbaugh. He would be talking about what a distraction this is and everything that's going on behind it. I'm tired of hearing this stuff for days on end and people speculating about this, that, and the other, and they don't know anything. And I'd like to just hear something else on the radio besides that, because there's an overlap on what's being said, and it's really, really old. It's really, really old.
No, I understand that.
What's happening in the world is bad, and it doesn't get this kind of notoriety.
Well, let me give you the answer to that then, because you will see a lot of people say, I'm sick of hearing about this story. But from our point of view on this side of the microphone, we see what you guys are clicking on our Facebook post. We see what you guys like. Yesterday for the podcast, I just had 3 different hours, and all of them were labeled some different formulation of the Savannah Guthrie mom story. And I just had my 6th best podcast day in the last 2 years since I've been on WBAP. And it's not a stellar story. It's not the election. It's not the Super Bowl. It's Savannah Guthrie's mom, my 6th best day. So people can say that they're sick of it, but they're really not.
Well, I am.
Well,
I think it's so weird that she's such a treasure that they had such cheap security going for her. I think that's really a hoot.
Well, that's kind of a solid point, although you just don't think your mom's going to get rolled up in something like this, even if you are a Savannah Guthrie.
No,
but look,
I didn't think my husband would be knocked off by DEI doctors in Southwest Harris either.
Right, there you go.
Nobody gave a damn about that but me.
Boy, I really feel you on that one, because I've had loved ones die.
There are a lot of people that have. There are a lot of people that go through a lot of stuff, and it doesn't get that kind of notoriety, and people don't even care. This is more like voyeurism to me.
Yeah, hey, I feel that. If it makes you feel any better, this guy is going to be caught. This mystery is going to solve, and we'll probably never talk about it again. And there will be many, many more days for the rest of the year where we can talk about immigration, and we can talk about Epstein, and we can talk about the economy, and we can talk about, because like later on in the show, I'm getting off of this story pretty quick because I want to talk about the El Paso airport situation. I want to talk about some of the other stuff that's going on around Texas with the Sharia city battles, and Ken Paxton's got a new lawsuit. And then we had some more walkouts in schools here in North Texas this week after we being told that that's not happening and they're not coordinating. So schools are lying to you. We're going to get to some more of that today, but I would be remiss if I didn't cover this, because people can say that they're not interested in this, but behind the scenes, the traffic tells me that people really are.
It makes me like the society much less.
Well, that might be a good takeaway.
It has a lot of problems. This is just icing on the cake.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got that out there, because there's a lot of people who feel like that. That is Sandra in Fort Worth. New details in the case of Nancy Guthrie. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. Also, our sister station out in Tucson, KCUB, has an excellent program director named David Kelly, who's coming back on. And David, thanks for coming back on. I know we just talked to you a couple days ago, but I saw just a few minutes ago that the police are back out at Annie Guthrie's house searching it for, what is this, the third time, David?
Yeah, Annie Guthrie obviously is the younger sister of Savannah Guthrie and one of the daughters of Nancy Guthrie, and she and her husband were the last people to see Nancy Guthrie, because they were with her at dinner that Saturday night prior to her going missing and being reported missing that following Sunday. So they've been a large focus of this case. At least their residence has been a large focus of this case. I don't know if the authorities have not, sheriff's deputies have not come out and said that they are in any way suspects in this case. But yeah, there's been a lot of presence at that residence in terms of being a part of this investigation. It's been a real crazy last 48 hours, really last 24 hours since the FBI released, images of a suspect that was at the house the night of the disappearance, and how that's connected, and the length of time that it took to obviously get those images to the point where they could be released to the public, and of course the detaining of a suspect last night down south of here in Rio Rico. I know we talked a couple of days about just the dynamics of southern Arizona in this area. We're being about an hour away from the border. Rio Rico is a town that's about 12 minutes from the border as you go down south on I-19 on the way to Nogales. Very lovely community. And unfortunately, there was a family there last night that fell into the investigation process of this kidnapping now. And that very interesting that the gentleman was detained, released. He and his mother both spoke publicly that they knew absolutely nothing about this incident. So I think those will be among the questions that we as the media are asking next time we get a chance to talk to our sheriff, who has gone radio silent throughout through the last few days of this investigation. There have been no public press conferences as they've dove in deeper to the investigation process into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance.
All right. So son-in-law, the lead suspect, according to the internet sleuths, was the last one to drop her off, last one to see her. Now, they had come from dinner. Did they have dinner at his house or did they go out to a restaurant? Because if they had dinner at his house, that would kind of explain why there's extra attention being paid to his house. And it might not be because he's the primary suspect. It might just be that's the last place we know she was.
Yeah, it's unclear whether they did that, the dinner was out or at their house. But obviously, that's a place I'm sure Nancy Guthrie has spent a lot of time, being that her daughter lives here and she is an elderly woman who lives by herself. And so I would imagine that the authorities are trying to gather as much potential DNA evidence as possible from that location to try to tie different places that they might be investigating to Nancy Guthrie. So it makes a lot of sense that that's a place here in Southern Arizona where she spent a lot of time, that authorities would want to make sure that they have every angle of that location investigated.
Right. But if they did eat at home, maybe this was the fella that brought them the food. And so that's why they had to go talk to the Ron Rico kid.
That's quite possible.
Well, I'm just trying to put it together here.
He is that's not my understanding that his delivery service was food. It seems more like it was FedEx packaged based, but a lot of people that do that type of delivery also do other types of deliveries. So I've not been able to confirm anything along the lines that his job involved anything involving, food deliveries or anything outside of packages.
Well, is there anything on the ground in Tucson, David, that you guys know that isn't being reported to the rest of us through the media?
Not necessarily, no. And I stated that the other day. I mean, we know pretty much as you do in terms of what's happening out there. I mean, obviously, we know maybe some of the more ancillary background aspects of this story, but not really. No, I mean, what you know is really what we know in terms of where this is. We thought maybe we were starting to, gather some momentum last night. But again, I mean, and I think this is the thing that maybe a lot of people need to realize is these investigations take time. I understand we're in a world now where people want to rush to judgment. They want immediate information on things, but it just doesn't work like that. I mean, I had an uncle that was a detective in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for 30 years. And we talked a lot about just the investigation process when I was growing up and how it's very meticulous and it takes time. And it's not anything that law enforcement wants to rush through because they want to try to be as precise as they can in their information gathering. And you have to be in order to get to positive conclusions in these types of situations.
Well, David Kelly, I think the ski mask might be a key piece of evidence because, like, what's the temperature there right now in Tucson? It's like in the 50s here, but like, how often is someone buying a mask in Tucson? Yeah. If you have one purchase in 100-mile radius, that's probably your guy.
You would think, yeah. I mean, again, it does get cold here at night. So, I mean, not cold enough that I would be wearing a ski mask or anything of that nature. But I don't own a ski mask personally here. I mean, I own a couple of Scully caps because, yeah, it does get down into the 30s here at night on occasion. But yeah, I've not known too many people to be waltzing around Tucson in ski masks. No.
Well, for the reference, for the rest of us, I just asked my phone. It's 78 degrees in Tucson right now. That is not ski mask weather, David Kelly.
Not at all.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing some inside looks with us from Tucson. I really appreciate it. It's David Kelly from KCUB. How do they find your work online, sir?
I am on the Twitter at David Kelly 1290, mostly talking about our number one basketball team in the country.
Oh, is this Arizona's number one?
Yeah, so bring on Texas Tech Saturday.
Oh, he's talking smack, and he's talking to my Raider listeners. Thank you, David Kelly. Appreciate it, sir.
James.
The James Show Podcast.